A study published in the U.S. has discovered a startling statistic about global COVID cases. Between January 2020 and February 2021, researchers looked at 30 million people across 95 countries to study how many COVID cases were asymptomatic. They found that, on average, 40% of people who caught COVID had it asymptomatically. When separated out by age group, the data changed dramatically. The study found that, amongst young people, over half, 60%, had COVID asymptomatically. In those aged 20 to 39, they found that the number of asymptomatic cases decreased to just under 50%. In the 40 to 59 age bracket, the number of asymptomatic cases went down to 32%. Lastly, in the over 60s, only just over a third, 33% of cases, were asymptomatic. Boris Johnson knocks EU over COVID twice as many boosters per head overall, however, whilst 40% of COVID cases were asymptomatic on average, these accounted for just 0.25% of the tested population. Whilst that may seem small, if we extrapolate that to a global scale, that becomes millions of asymptomatic people who may pass the virus on to someone who may develop symptoms. The study also found that the highest number of asymptomatic cases was in people who lived or worked in care home staff, air passengers and pregnant women. This was, however, put down to the fact that these groups were more likely to be tested for COVID. COVID-19, young people found lockdown harder, says Charity, Insight Omicron COVID variant, we are kidding ourselves. Cambridge virologist on the disease, Insight high cholesterol, new vaccine targets high levels to reduce heart disease risk, study, Insight. What this means for how governments approach the pandemic going forward is hard to say. Each government will act as it feels it should to protect its citizens and combat the virus. In the UK, Boris Johnson has taken decisions to try to avoid the restrictions we saw last year. This includes encouraging people to get their booster to suppress Omicron this Christmas. Today, the PM announced that the UK now has twice as many boosters per head as Europe and nearly twice as many per head as the US. This has attracted criticism because the NHS was given less than 2 days to prepare for this shift in policy and so had very little time to react. Furthermore, they have decided to push the booster program instead of bringing in more restrictions such as restricting mixing between households. This comes after the Plan B rules were passed through Parliament. This was despite a large rebellion from lockdown-skeptical Conservative MPs. For now, the booster program continues. It is important to remember that we won't see the effect of the boosters for several weeks as it takes a week for the vaccine to take effect. During the week after your booster, your immune system is weakened, so don't go storming into a pub the day after assuming you're protected.